Good evening, all. Your old friend Razmere's here, and it's story time. And in the spirit of Halloween, I've decided to read you a most frightening literature indeed. What story, you ask? Why, none other than Dracula. It's about time you kids learned about real vampires, and not those emo pretty boy Eurotrash you're always obsessed with. For time constraints, I have abridged certain parts of this terrifying tale, and I will try to use a more modern vocabulary for all you younger viewers. Let's begin, shall we? Jonathan Harker's Diary. I have been invited to Castle Dracula in Transylvania to conduct a real estate transaction with the Count. The local peasant folk warn me, though, that the Count is evil, and that he's a monster, and he's going to suck my blood and steal my soul and turn me into a cursed ghoul, but I'm sure that's just local peasant superstition. It's nothing to be too concerned about. Upon entering the Count's castle, he greeted me at the door like a gentleman. Good evening. I am Dracula. I bid you welcome. We began our business right away. The Count said he was always good at the board game Monopoly, and he wanted to try it out in real life. He signed the deeds and purchased a number of abbeys and hotels. When I saw him sign the paperwork in funny-smelling red ink, I felt compelled to ask him. Good Count, the villagers, they said the funniest thing today. You aren't a vampire by any chance, are you? What? They said that? About me? He walked over to the window and leaned out, screaming at the villagers. Oh, thanks a lot, guys. Way to spoil the surprise. The Count shook his fist and glared down at the cowering peasants. Well, I am afraid I can't let you leave now, Mr. Harker. Ceres, Integra, Morgan! Out of the shadows appeared 3 scantily clad, beautiful women dressed in black. Hot goth chicks! I mean, oh no, vampires, I'm scared. They quickly captured me and stripped off most of my clothes. Reaching into my coat pocket, the Count pulled out a picture of my darling sweetheart, Mina. Sweet succubus, what an enchanting beauty. How can I put this delicately, Mr. Harker? I wish to tap that. Yes. Well, I must be going now. I've got a few new homes to refurnish, people to see, women to eat. A Count's work is never done. Goodbye, Mr. Harker. And with that, he locked me in the dungeon with his terrifying vampiric brides. They forced me to play strip poker, strip chess, strip Scrabble, strip Monopoly, strip Super Smash Brothers. It was truly wonderful. Horrible. However, my terror would pale in comparison to the unholy horror that was rushing over the seas to my precious Mina. I had no choice but to escape. I fled the castle and was able to hitch a ride across the sea back to England with a friendly band of singing pirates whose captain wore an odd straw hat. When I reached England, I kicked down the door to Mina's house and stormed into the parlor to find her entertaining guests, her friend Lucy, my old mentor, Professor Helsing, 3 other gentlemen who aren't that important, and Count Dracula himself! Mina! I shouted. Get away from him! You may find this hard to believe, but Count Dracula is a vampire! Professor Helsing stood up and shouted, I freaking knew it! Dracula rolled his eyes and grumbled, Why does everyone insist on ruining the surprise? With that, he turned into a bat and flew right out the window. Professor Helsing paced up and down the room, raving, I told you, but did you listen to me? No! He had no reflection. His shadow moved around when he wasn't moving. He slapped the maid when she asked him if he wanted any garlic bread. And he freaked out when he saw the Holy Cross on the wall. We need to find him, and we need to kill him before he starts the feast on the souls of innocents. He's purchased houses all over England for him to hide his dark, shadowy self in. Don't worry, though. I know where they all are. I was the fool that sold them to him. We need to destroy these safe houses and trap the beast in his lair, said Helsing. Suddenly, Dracula returned to the room. Ah, excuse me, I forgot something. Mina?
Yes?
Nom 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 nom. And with that, the Count bit down upon her neck, after which he turned back into a bat and flew out the window again. Oy vey, now we have to kill him to make sure she doesn't turn into a vampire like him, cried out Helsing. So wait, let me get this straight. Is my precious little Mina going to dress in black, scantily clad, very revealing outfits and act like she's always in the mood to make dark, dirty love? Yes, it's very horrible, isn't it? Much too perilous, answered Helsing. Well, I'm sure I wouldn't mind a little peril, I mumbled to myself. Several surprisingly boring acts of arson later, we tracked Dracula back to his castle in Transylvania. The unholy fortress was filled with unspeakable horrors and monsters, but thankfully Professor Helsing had a bullwhip with him, and made short work of them indeed. In the highest room of the tallest tower slept Dracula in his coffin. Are you just going to kill him in his sleep? I asked Professor Helsing. That's hardly good form for a British gentleman. Oy vey, didn't I tell you? He replied. I'm a German. And with that, he plunged a stake into Dracula's chest while he slept. The beast let out a shrill gasp and hissed, "With my last breath, I curse Renfield!" And like a gentleman, he died. Mina turned back to normal, and everyone lived happily ever after, except Dracula, who died. Again. I mean, he was undead, so I guess if you kill the undead, you're technically re-deading them. I mean, I'm not sure on the technical aspects of all that. I mean, you know, I'm just a real estate agent. I don't really know all the technical jargon. You should really ask Professor Helsing. I mean, you know, what's the difference between dead, mostly dead, full dead, undead, re-dead, living dead? It's all beyond me. Well, whatever. The end. And that is the dark tale of Dracula. I hope it wasn't too scary for you kids. Well, I'm Razmere, and I'm wishing you all to have a very safe and happy Halloween.
Stop rolling.